Let me tell you how I got into this programming business. I quite feel ashamed of myself when I'm telling you. After college, I was just sitting in my bedroom and was whiling away my time when my dad came to me and said, "Son, why don't you do something?" So I said, "Great." So I just was leafing through the newspaper when I saw an ad which said NIT first course, and it didn't attract me at all. But when I saw what was at the end of the whole thing, free sandwiches and coffee, unlimited. So that was my attraction. So bearing that in mind, I went and I enrolled for the NIT class at Dadamal Towers in Aliban Point, and of course I had as many sandwiches and coffee as my stomach could take. But the main thing is I got there. The faculty was in the industry, the software industry. So it was very interesting. It was very knowledgeable. So I think I decided on making a career in programming. So it started off with sandwiches and coffee, and I was into a career in programming. Quite recently, I was at the Rajasthani Mahila Mandal where a friend of mine, she called me to give a pep talk to a few students. So I said, okay, fine. It always helps. Sometimes it helps the students to get over their phobias and fears. So I went there, and I was taken to the classroom. The door was open, and you won't believe it. In a classroom for 30, there were 60 Marwadi girls. The question a girl asked me was, "What motivated you to get into a career in programming?" That is a question even today I read. I obviously couldn't pass on the coffee and the sandwich theory onto these girls. I'm talking bullshit about computer bringing balance in one's life and basically, it's something which enriches your life as a whole, and that is all bullshit. Obviously, I couldn't tell them that I joined computer programming because I basically wanted to have sandwiches and coke. Nonsense I was talking about what motivated you to take up programming. The girls they bought it. So I heaved a sigh of relief when the class was over and I left for home. The first programming language I learned was COBOL. There were different kinds of COBOL, ANSI COBOL, PC Focus COBOL, and COBOL itself. It's like different kinds of rice, fried rice, veg rice, dal rice. So, but COBOL was my enemy right from the first day. You may have read that book, Far from the Madding Crowd, by Thomas Hardy. When you read that book, you feel as if the book is never going to end. So COBOL program was something like that. You had identification division, and you had data division, environment division, procedure. What the hell? The program just went on and on. And finally, when you had finished writing the program, you had to compile it so that you could execute. So first time you compiled, I got 140 errors. The next time I compiled, I got 3 errors, but 141. Maybe that was an improvement because warning was not as bad as the error. The next time I compiled, came back to the first situation. I had 140 errors and 3 warnings. So the whole process went on and on. Like the Ramayana and Mahabharata, it never seemed to end. Subjected myself to the torture of working in COBOL for many years. It still hurts, I guess. Your programs had to be very observant of the COBOL rules, and if you made one small mistake, bang, you throw in errors, as if finding fault with you. I mean, just imagine a dumb machine finding faults. It can be very humiliating. When I joined, I was learning COBOL. It was kind of, as I said, reading Thomas Hardy, the book never seemed to end. So whenever I went to COBOL class, I stood in the doorway and I was thinking to myself, should I not? I had paid the fees. When I was outside the classroom, getting into the COBOL class, I was nervous. But when I got into the COBOL class and was listening to the lecture, I was bored like hell. When I was outside the classroom, getting into the COBOL class, I was nervous. But when I got into the COBOL class and was listening to the lecture, I was bored like hell. Second programming language I learned was Pascal. And I didn't know anything about Pascal, but still the course was called Advanced Pascal. I call Pascal a fill-in-the-blanks language. There were so many gaps when you wrote the code, but the irony was there wasn't anything to fill in those gaps. So that was the second language I learned.
The other day I was passing through the corridor and I could hear ripples of laughter coming from one of the classrooms. So I just slackened my pace and I looked through the window and I could see an assortment of kids. I mean, maybe as young as 6 or 7 and going right up to the board level, 10th and 11th standard. And it brought a smile to my face because what they were learning was Python coding. It brought back those horrible memories I had of being scared at the time of entering the COBOL class and being depressed as hell as when I was in the class. So I think Python is a great thing which has happened for the only reason that it brings the coding language close to the person. The person is in a comfort zone when he or she learns coding. That's the ultimate thing. So I think it's serving a very noble purpose.